Oh, it's big news.
Is there something I don't know about, Brett?
Just normal Monday.
It doesn't feel like a normal Monday. We're happy with our win at Utah State. Sad to see Chucky Keaton go down. It was, I think our team made progress. I think that offensively we found more rhythm. Obviously the points were very helpful. And we get a few players back this week in terms of kick returns. Adam Hine, which is another weapon for us that we're excited about. DeAndre Wesley at offensive tackle, and then Brock Stringham and Riker Matthews played a little bit in that game, but we get them more back. We get them back at a higher level, which will be helpful. Defensively, we have about the same players, and we're looking forward to another really good opponent coming into our stadium and playing well. And so we have some momentum now. I think we're making some progress. We're still plenty to work on, but we're excited about the game.
Coach, can you talk about how much of a difference that's going to make to have three guys back on the offensive line?
It's going to make a lot of difference, not only for practice, but for the game. And so it gives us a chance to rotate more players, to keep guys fresher. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll see a different product, but I think it gives us a better chance than what we've had.
So is Tyler Beck totally healthy now?
Tyler Beck is healthy as well. I wouldn't say totally, but he'll be playing. He practiced today.
You mentioned Chucky going down. Saw just looking at the highlights and stuff afterwards that both Wani and Kyle went up to him as he was being taken off the field, just patted him on the backside and wished him well. Is that common? Do you see that a lot, or is that more of an unusual situation?
No, I think it's relatively unusual in college football, but I think it's the right thing. But I think that both Kyle and Wani, they respect Chucky. They know what kind of player he is. They know what kind of leader he is and what he's done for their program. And so we were looking forward to that challenge, and they prepared and watched him really closely. And so I think that gesture was out of respect and what kind of person and player he is.
Bronco, you stopped them, Georgia Tech, their option real well last year. Is that kind of your specialty, something you pride yourself on doing, or how do you explain that?
I don't know if it's a specialty. Most of the things I've learned in this profession have come from really humble beginnings. And my first year at New Mexico, I think we got beat 56-3 or something by Air Force, and I had no idea what was going on with the option. And so it became kind of a project after that to learn more about it. But I like the challenge, and so it'll be hard to do again. Last year they didn't convert a third down, and so we only played like 48 plays, and so that hardly ever happens when you're playing option defense. So we expect certainly a different style of game, similar offense, but it'll be hard to duplicate what we did a year ago.
What do they do defensively? Do they bring pressure?
So new defensive coordinator. Just in general, I think they struggled a year ago. As you know, when we played them, they were in the midst of changes and still looking to figure out what they wanted to do, and they were switching from 3-4 to 4-3. And they're coordinated well now. They're only playing a little less than 60 plays a game because their offense holds on to the ball so long, but they play very hard for that time. 4 down players that are pretty skilled, and I would say just really sound and really well coached in terms of fundamentals.
Jamal really had a breakout game last year against Georgia Tech. Do you feel like having him back there healthy in the backfield again is going to really help open up the pass game for you guys?
Well, I think that most teams are recognizing that we're focusing on establishing the ground game, and but the last 2 weeks without any drop passes and more consistency throwing the ball, I think teams will at least have to acknowledge that threat now. I wouldn't say that they'll be fearful of it, but at least acknowledging it should allow us to run the ball even more effectively than we have.
Jamal was limited a little bit in that game against Utah State. Do you see his role continuing? Is he back to the point where you'll expect him to have a heavier workload?
It will. We did that by design, and he was jumping up and down, wanting to get back in at the end. But we have Algie Brown, who for that game was a nice relief for Jamal, and so Jamal will carry the ball more this week than last week. But we're still going to use Algie some.
Can you talk about the play of Algie Brown?
Yeah, physical, tough, ball security, and we saw a glimpse in the spring game, and I just like him because he runs so physical. And if the hole isn't necessarily there, and if the offensive line hasn't opened up and blocked it exactly right, he can drag guys forward with him.
Is Jamal's attitude, is that the type of guy you like coaching, the guys that's chomping on that bit?
He's great, and always has been, and he's really low maintenance, which he just fits in here, and he's in class, he's behaving in the community, he's doing the right things, and then he just runs like crazy, and he loves football. In fact, he called me this summer thanking me for letting him be here while he's running the stadium. It's on his own. I mean, not many people do that.
Coach, he gave a heartfelt, just he talked about how grateful he was to hear the fans' support after he went down, and of course he gave a heartfelt just his words on the coaching staff and what their concerns. Talk about that aspect from you, and maybe the relationship in that aspect from you. And you see a player go down like that.
Jamal had to trust us to come to BYU. There are a lot of things that in the typical stereotype of a BYU player, Jamal doesn't fit, but he trusted us, and he's had a great experience here. And I think that's endeared him to us because of that trust, and vice versa, and also the fans. I think they recognize a kid that's maybe made a unique choice, and I think they're proud of him for that because he's not seeking to be outside of the standards. He's working hard to be within.
When you had the big lead against the Aggies, you were still running the offense at a pretty fast pace.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find yourself having to tell Coach and I maybe to slow it down and run some clock? Or
we talked about it one time. There was about the 10-minute mark left in the game, and at that point we decided at least one more series, regular tempo, and then Ammon, and then talk about then we'd work on slowing it down. And that's about what, I don't remember what the mark it was, but yeah, it could have been possibly one series earlier, but we're still improving, and so I thought one more series would be appropriate.
The
Anybody
zone read.
hurt?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Anybody hurt in Logan that's either out early this week or questionable for the weekend?
Nope, we're clean, which is great.
The zone read fits Taysom's style really well. If he, knock on wood, were to go down, are you comfortable with the other guys, the other quarterbacks running, or would you have to change the offense?
We'd have to. Number one, I'm comfortable, but none of them are Taysom, and just with the speed factor. But Ammon is a good athlete, and a year ago on scout team, we never changed quarterbacks when we were playing zone read or option. Ammon did it, and I think he's certainly capable. Ammon throws the ball really well also, so you'd probably see it shift a little bit, but the offense would be recognizable without significant changes.
Coach, talk about Mitch Matthews' emergence, and what does that mean for Cody Hoffman and his role?
Well, Mitch really emerged in spring and then fall camp. He's been the most productive, and he's been the most consistent because of just practice, and he's been healthy, and there's been no other issues. And so, it doesn't mean anything for Cody other than now we've got a chance for Cody to maybe not be singled out as much, and anytime that happens, you have a chance to be more effective.
How did the offensive line grade out in your mind?
About the same. It's still a work in progress, and I thought Utah State's front was physical and did a really nice job against our run game, and so their grading wasn't significantly different than what it has been. We still have a ways to go.
What offensive adjustments are you going to make this week preparing for Georgia Tech and their defense?
Uncertain at this point, too early in the week and too early in the plan to identify. We know that points will be important, and that's going to end up driving the game because Georgia Tech will try to hold on to the ball as much as possible.
Coach, are you excited to have the tradition, spirit, and honor jerseys out this weekend?
I hadn't even thought about it much until you just reminded me. So I don't know how basically to answer that. I think it's been documented enough, so I think we'll all smile.
Can you just talk about Wani Unga? Is this what you expected from him?
Wani's tough. He's playing really, really well, and he's big and he's physical and he's consistent, and he's playing as good an inside backer as right now that I've seen or coached since I've been around.
Have any of the prep quarterbacks you're recruiting, have they brought up the kind of the change in the offense and where it's not the typical BYU offense?
No, they haven't, and our recruiting isn't such to where we really had to target many to this point. They're still a few years out, and so they all see it, and most of them really are like it and they're excited about it, and they also see the progress it's making, and so I think they're excited about the direction, but and it's easy to tailor and shift a little bit based on the skill set of a BYU quarterback. So we need grades, and we need a really good player, and we need someone that's will live the standards, and so there's some freedom within the system to kind of move it a little bit either way.
How pleased have you been with the performance of Robertson Daniel at this point,
and
his development?
He's a great tackler, and so we knew he'd be strong in coverage, but I didn't know we'd be getting the tackler that we're getting, and I've been really impressed. And mean, you're talking about a guy that we weren't. I mean, I didn't know he'd be playing field corner number 1 and then be playing every snap, and so he's really helped us.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach.